Men do not contribute 50% to the creation of life. You as a man do not contribute to pregnancy whatsoever. Just because your sperm happens to be 50% of the baby's DNA does not mean that you contribute at all to the labor required to create the baby. Pregnancy doesn't even start at the time of conception. Pregnancy starts at the time of implantation into the uterine lining. You as a man had absolutely nothing to do with that process. All you did was finish, and now you're acting as if you finishing is somehow creating 50% of the labor required to have a baby. And I'm not gonna act like finishing is a big feat for men. You do it every single day into that nasty, crusty sock. Women are 100% responsible for the creation of life and pregnancy. It's not his baby that you're carrying, it's your baby that you're carrying. Stop giving men the credit for the creation that you have brought into this world. You deserve to fully 100% take all of the credit because you did that, not him.
If we use this logic, men shouldn't be taken to court for child support then, right? Anyway, sorry for interrupting again. Just wanted to say thank you to the massive support we've received this past few weeks. Let's get back to the video.
I don't know if you guys knew this, but when you have your first baby with that man, you are going to adopt a piece of his DNA. Look it up. Look it up. It is real. It happens. So if you find that things are changing about you because you had a baby with that man, that is because his DNA is inside of you now. Permanently. Permanently. I never had allergies before. I cannot stop blowing my nose and sneezing all over this house because my husband gave me his allergies. Not to say that is a reason to not have kids, but I'm just telling you right now that will happen, so please choose wisely.
TikTok science back at it again. Some of these women really need to take biology classes.
Themes that I think that are inherently misogynistic. Highways and freeways. Highways and freeways were actually originally meant to benefit 9 to 5 commuters, which were like almost 100% men back when they were created. And back in the day, and even to this day, mothers especially that have to run errands for the family have to spend more gas, time, and money commuting than their male counterparts do. Public restrooms, especially at concerts or festivals. Whenever there's public gendered restrooms, the woman's line is like 30 million times longer, and that's because it's equal but not equitable. There's the same amount of stalls in both lines without taking into account the needs that women take longer in the bathroom and have more bathroom needs than men do. Period products not being free, and a lot of places that condoms are free. Women's uniform bottoms whenever they're white, because why would a woman ever design a uniform bottom to be white knowing we have periods? The beauty industry as a whole, especially plastic surgery and diet culture. Ozempic, specifically for weight loss. 8 hours of sleep being the standard. That was the standard for men, not women. Women need more sleep. Temperatures in office buildings. A lot of women say that they're cold in office buildings, and that's because back in the 60s, they set a standard temperature for office buildings meant for men because men were the ones that usually occupied those office buildings, and to this day, they still use that standard, even though there are a lot of women in office buildings now, and women are actually, they get colder easier than men. Normalizing talking about body counts or asking about body counts. In my opinion, that's just another way for us to judge women and for their sexuality and impose purity culture. Cars/car safety features, they're actually built for the body of men. Women are 17% more likely to die in car crashes than men are. Patriarchy is everywhere.
Men, you need to start spending more money on your women because science says it makes you happier. People who spent money on someone else rather than themselves, no matter the amount of money, whether it was $5 or $20, were considerably happier than those who spent the money on themselves. And this isn't just one study. Participants who recalled a time when they spent on others that had a positive impact were happiest. And another one, participants who were randomly assigned to spend money on others experienced greater happiness than those assigned to spend money on themselves. We're always talking about men's mental health, so this is really important. What else is also beneficial for men's mental health? Well, according to the science, married men are actually richer and they have about 10 times more household assets saved up over their lifetime than people who are divorced or have never been married. Married men are happier men. I'm talking very happy, twice as likely. And also, married men are healthier men, more likely to recover from diseases and just be healthier human beings. Key here, men, if you want to be successful successful, richer, and more healthy, you've got to start spending more money on your women. Send this to a man so that he can be aware of these facts and these studies.
My contribution to the discourse around do 62 million men really want to sexually assault someone is one that I'm going to go ahead and assume most people are not going to want to hear, but I'm going to say it anyway, despite my best judgment. And that's to answer that question. Are there really 62 million men who want to sexually assault someone? The answer is no. Because it's way more than that. Look, I completely understand wanting to correct misinformation or really misunderstanding around the CNN article. But then I'm seeing people in that correction then extrapolate what they're saying to the rest of the men in the United States or worldwide. And that makes me, as someone who researches sexual violence, want to lose my mind. So let's just do some quick figures, all right? Somewhere between 93 to 99% of all people in the United States who have done acts of sexual violence are men. Now, nearly 1/2 of women in the United States have said that they've experienced some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. Let's put that somewhere around 80 million. But you also can't forget that men also sexually assault other men. 1 in 6 American men say that they've experienced some form of sexual violence in their lifetime. That's around 27.5 million. And then, because I'm not sure how this research was done exactly, I want to factor in trans people, because 1/2 of all trans people have also said that they've experienced sexual violence in their lifetime. So that's around 1.5 million. Altogether, that's about 114 million people. Now, let's say 95% of that was done by a man. That's 108 million people in the United States who have been sexually assaulted by a man. And of course, you should take into consideration that some of those assaults may have happened by the same person. And really, I don't mean to fearmonger, but the reality of sexual assault in this country is actually far worse than 62 million men worldwide clicking on a link.
Men only do things that benefit them. So if men are pushing for marriage, pushing for you to have children, pushing for you to live with them, why do you think that is? All you got to do is go look at my last couple of posts and you can literally see hundreds of men sliding down the wall, trying to convince women to live with them, to marry them, to have children with them. Why? Because they benefit. Marriage benefits men more than it does women. They get constant access to you, emotional support, domestic stability. Living with men benefits them in very obvious ways. More access, more convenience, more support. For a lot of women, that becomes more responsibility because they have to manage that household. They have to do most of the domestic, physical, and emotional labor that is required to maintain a home. And these men are in the comment section angry, not at me, but the fact that women are waking up because a lot of men are losing access.
Women use men. And how do we do that exactly? You can't really use something that's useless. For our money. What fucking money? The money you think you're gonna make in the future by having a stay-at-home wife so you don't have to pay for childcare, chefs, cleaners, house managers, therapists? Yeah, right, sure. For our protection. What protection? Seriously, what protection? Because women are 60% more likely to die by a husband, than a complete stranger. When a man says women use men, all he's really doing is projecting his own behaviors of expecting support, money, and attention onto us.
And somebody got to say it. The only people that are still breeding and having kids and procreating are slow people. You got to be slow. That's the only explanation I can think of. Either you're slow, you're delusional, you live in some type of delusional la-la land. I don't know. You don't have no type of situational awareness. It got to be something. Arrested development, male-centeredness, something. And that's why I think the world will never change, because there will always be people to continue the cycle. There will always be poor people continuing the cycle. There will always be traumatized people continuing the cycle. There will always be male-centered women continuing the cycle. And like I said, slow people, because slow people don't think ahead of anything. Intelligence be chasing them, but they're just too damn fast. Y'all be doing exactly what the government want us to do, to continue to have kids, to continue procreating, so the cycle can continue and nothing will ever change. As long as we keep having kids, nothing will ever change. Y'all are giving them exactly what they want. But who cares? Who cares? You know, who cares? Y'all want a mini-me.
Extremely fucked up news I've heard recently is that if you're at a bar, okay, they did a study on this, it takes a man 29 flirty glances from you within a 10-minute period. 29 for him to register that you're interested and that you want him to approach you. 29. And that number goes up the more objectively attractive, charismatic, and hot you are. 29. So even if you think that this man knows that you're interested, he likely has no fucking clue.
There is not a single man on this planet that is worth sacrificing your body over. If you do not want children, you're in a relationship with a man, you do not want children, you're like, I don't want to be pregnant, or I don't want to be pregnant again, and like you have a kid or two, whatever, and you just don't want another one, or you don't want kids, period, whatever, you just don't want to do it. And your man is like, oh, like, I just really want a kid. Like, what about just one? Like, let's compromise, which, first of all, having a child should never be a compromise. Let's compromise and just have one. Like, just one. Like, please. Like, please, just one. Or like, oh, what's one more? What's one more kid? Not a single man is worth you as a woman sacrificing your mind and your body and your lifestyle over. Not a single man. If you were even thinking about it, like, oh, well, I love him so much, like, what's one more kid? Or, oh, I'll just do it for him. Not a single man is worth that. Hear me now? Hear me now? Not a single man is worth that. Not one. If you are not 100% in it, if you don't 100% want this baby, and you don't 100% want to be pregnant, do not do it just for him. Do not do it. No man is worth that. Not one.
People get offended because I talk about not wanting kids. Like, it personally affects them. They're like, well, that's selfish. But who's going to take care of you when you're old? I'm like, I'm selfish, but the only reason you have kids is that you have someone to take care of you when you're old? Also, you know who's going to take care of me when I'm old? Your kids. Better raise them right, because I want a good caretaker.
When dudes say, I don't chase. Right, well, go find yourself a boyfriend then, babe. You don't chase? Well, what do you mean? That's your job. What do you do then? What do you do? You're not fulfilling your job as a man on this planet, okay? What do you do? Tell me. Please explain. Oh, I don't chase. I also don't have a fucking bed frame. Or any fucking social skills or a fully developed frontal lobe. Because I don't chase. Also, when guys are complaining about gold diggers, but their side table is a cardboard box, and all they can afford to buy you is a piece of chicken, babe, gold diggers go after Ferraris, not a plate of food, okay? Cool.
I don't get it. In what world are women the ones who want to settle down and men the ones who don't want the relationship? It's like, you get to be the baby in the relationship because she takes care of the house. We're not going to kill ourselves. You're going to put like 20% effort and she's going to put 80% effort. If you have babies, she's putting 70% effort. You're putting 10% effort and maybe 20 if you pay for a nanny. So what is up with men pretending that they are the ones who don't want the relationship? I don't think I want the relationship because what is it that I'm gaining? If we're 50-50, and then I'm putting 80% of the effort in the house, then it's a lose situation. It's a win-lose situation. I lose, you win. No, I'm not the one begging for the relationship, sweetie. You got it wrong.
Low birth rates are not a crisis. They are a consequence, and honestly, an incredibly rational one, all things considered. If you didn't already know, U.S. birth rates are at record lows, and 52% of women in the United States, ages 20 to 39, don't have children. And instead of asking why women are opting out of motherhood, the response that we're seeing is attempts to force the outcome, right? Without addressing any of the reasons that women are choosing choosing to not have kids in the first place. And let's be very clear about what that looks like, right? It is legislation restricting abortion access. It is threats to contraception. It is limited or non-existent maternity leave. It's sky-high childcare costs with no real solutions. And somehow we are supposed to believe that that's going to increase the birth rates. Come on, be so for real. Like, women are not stupid. If anything, policies like this are accelerating the exact trend that they claim to be worried about. Because when you remove safety and stability and choice from like the equation, people don't lean in, like they opt out entirely. Duh. That's why more women are choosing celibacy or delaying relationships or aligning with movements like the 4B movement that reject traditional expectations altogether. And God, I support that so much. I support that so much. Because if the system is going to demand more from women while offering less in return, opting out isn't failure. I feel like there's been this narrative for so long that if women don't have children, it's this like personal failure. And I'm sorry, but I just don't think that's true. I'm 26 and I've seen so many women my age or a little bit older than me who chose to be child free, and they are so much happier than a lot of other women I'm seeing who have kids. And when I talk to moms, it's almost always like, I love my kid, but. And that but, it really does say a lot, doesn't it? And when I talk to women who have been married for decades and their kids are grown and out of the house, a lot of them will admit that if they could do it all over again, they might have only had one child, if any at all. And that doesn't mean like they don't love their families. It just means that motherhood isn't the only path and it's not the right choice for everyone. And a lot of women weren't told that before having children. All that to say, you don't fix declining birth rates by controlling women's bodies, right? You fix it by creating a society where having children doesn't feel like this liability or a risk even. You fix declining birth rates by supporting women and by uplifting mothers. And none of that is happening. So I anticipate that this is going to continue to be a trend in the coming years. Happy to see it.
No, I actually like men quite a lot. I'm not a misandrist, but let me introduce to you a radical new concept called being critical of something you enjoy. I like talking about gender dynamics. I like talking about the differences between men and women. I like talking about those interactions. And I am critical of men when I have these discussions because men do bad things sometimes. And the fact that y'all immediately take that as like, oh, this is misandry makes me want to be a misandrist because you're so sensitive, it makes me mad. I'm not the first person to talk about this, but this is like the main problem with like all you chronically online fools is everything has to be 100% good or 100% bad all the time, whether we're talking about fandoms or men. We're talking about dog breeds or foreign policy. If you legitimately interpret all criticism as hatred, I don't understand how you have a job, to be quite frank with you. I feel extremely confident in guessing that the last book you read was in high school. If you graduated, no shade on people that don't graduate. But when's the last time you read a book? That's what I'm judging you on.
Men are the protectors. Men are here to protect you. But then when it comes to stepping up, when you're in public and you see somebody being harassed, it's only women. When it comes to a woman being abused in public, men are standing by and watching. Why is that? I wonder, if men are the protectors, why do you guys stay silent? Why have I seen multiple viral videos? I saw the one where the woman was literally, the man looked like he was going to kill her and snap her neck at the bar. And what did the men do? Stood and watched. What did she do? Beat his ass. I just saw a video of somebody getting kicked off a plane. All of the stewardesses were literally pushing him off the plane. What were the men doing? Some were yelling. Some were literally standing there like this. So no, men are not the protectors because you guys do fucking nothing. You stand and watch while men do shitty things. You guys are not the protectors. You guys are the enablers.
I made a TikTok about how a woman was literally surrounded by a bunch of grown men on an airplane and she like needed help with like getting a man's carry-on off, and none of the men even like fucking blinked an eye to help her, and she was like, okay, fuck off. Like, what the fuck? Like, I have four grown men here. I'm sick of being the man, blah, blah, blah. She popped off. I was like, good for you, you know? And men are in the comments being like, you guys wanted equality. You guys want equality. oh my God, if you are one of the men that are saying that, then you are the fucking issue. You are a waste of space. Your mother coddled you too much and you have no manners. Okay? Because that's not a quality. That is literally just being nice. Having manners. Being raised right. Because if I was in the aisle seat and I had a direct line to that bag and this man is coming through multiple rows from the front to try to get his bag in the back, yeah, I'm going to be like, oh, let me grab that for you. I'm a fucking tall 6'4" man. All I got to do is this. Boom, boom. Woman is 5'2". Y'all are like, you guys want equality. No, you're just being rude and you have no fucking manners and you need to shut the fuck up. If you're in my comments saying that, then get a life, get a textbook, read how to be a good fucking human and stop wasting space on this fucking earth. Okay?
And you know why men never really have anything to say when you speak on how you've been assaulted or harassed or raped by a man? It's because they would have done the same exact thing had they been given the opportunity. Men don't hold other men accountable for the weird shit they put women through because they're just as weird as the next nigga. It doesn't matter if it's your dad, it doesn't matter if it's your brother, your uncle, your best friend. They're all the fucking same. They're all weird. They're all sad. They're all creeps. They're all lustful losers. And even the percentage that doesn't quite relate to that still won't hold men accountable. That's why it's so useless trying to get empathy or sympathy from a man when it comes to assault or rape or harassment, because they don't care. They will literally do the same thing to you. They do not give a fuck.
Let me tell y'all something. Once you start feeling sorry for a man, you've already lost the war. You've already lost. Because amongst all the things I've learned about men in my life, one of the biggest things men have taught me is they don't give a fuck about the things that they do to you and how that affects your life and how that affects your mental health. They don't care. So I have that same energy for men. The same way y'all don't care about what happens to women, I don't give a fuck about what happens to you. And I'm telling you, when more women start thinking that way, life gonna run a lot easier for you. Because men have no remorse for the things that they do to women. They will literally destroy your life and walk out as if you didn't even exist, and then move on to the next woman and do the same shit. So when I hear bad things happening to a man, I gives not a single fuck. It's funny to me. I laugh. Yeah. So stop feeling sorry for men. They don't deserve your pity. Because they're never sorry about the fucking things they do to you.
The reality is everything, especially when it pertains to relationships, comes down to money. Most women would not marry or be worried about having a title with a man or being tied down with one man if they had more money. Most would be dreaming of traveling and freedom and peace and quiet and things like that. Women see men as a resource, which is why they guard that so tightly and reject or deny any possibility that the man could cheat or anything like that. Men most likely wouldn't be eager to give the woman the title of a wife if they had more money as well. Most men don't desire to be tied down with marriage either, but it's in their best financial interest because upon marrying, they get a maid, a cook, a nanny, and a sex worker. It's quite the bargain. They are really the receivers of the fairy tale. Almost everything in this life comes down to money, unfortunately. It's not love. And then when you get into that marriage 10 to 15 years down the road, both people realize this is not what I expected it to be. The man expected some wild, crazy sex all the time. That's what he had in mind for a marriage. Most men do not have the idea of marriage in mind where they're going to stick by their wife through all the changes of her life and things like that. because people are not going to be who they were when you married them. People change and evolve every 2, 3, 4, 5 years. So imagine 10, 15, 20 years down the road when that woman no longer looks like she did when you married her. Most men's love is very conditional and very skin deep. And then men have a couple kids thrown in the mix, and then they're exhausted, and then they didn't have this in mind for their life either. A woman realizes that her life is full of exhaustion and duties and performing and things of that nature. Both parties have an unrealistic idea of what marriage truly is in their mind. So if you were to give most married women a lump sum of cash and say you can leave this lifestyle and go live in peace, most would leave. And if you were to tell men you can leave this marriage and not have child support to pay or alimony, most would leave. But it's money that keeps people together. It's not love. Money is truly, unfortunately, the key to absolutely everything, and the reason why most people are together long after they shouldn't be.
All women do is use men for their money. Really? You think that a woman who spends $150 on her nails, $250 on the hair salon, hundreds on clothes and gym memberships, pays for her own car, her own rent, her own degree, her own Pilates classes, is strategically plotting around your $75 dinner?
In case you forgot that men are awful, I posted a video about what the girlies are going to do if we ever hit an apocalyptic situation and like life's never going back to normal. And there are currently almost 7,000 comments of women saying that they would themselves rather than deal with the men out in the world because they know that they would be abused, used, and discarded. Not to mention all the girlies in the comments saying that they would make sure their body was burned, disposed of, like mangled beyond recognition, because even death will not stop men from using our bodies against our will. I know this is grim, but also the girlies are hysterical. And if you would like some funny, girly, dark humor, I highly encourage you to go look at that video on my page. I am just having so much fun scrolling through the comments. Everyone is hilarious. Everyone is so funny. And I just love all the girlies once again.
And women belong in a kitchen. Why? Aren't you meant to be the smart ones? Poor little old dumb me doesn't know how to cut a potato, sorry. Men handle the important stuff. What, like masturbating into a fucking sock? Because last time I checked, it's women that give birth, and there's nothing more important than that. A woman's job is to obey. And yet don't I hear every single man say, oh, gotta ask my missus before they do anything? Seems like you're the submissive ones, not us. Your body matters more than your opinion. Okay, well my body is telling you to fuck off. Because a man always reduces a woman down to what he is. What was she wearing? Oh, so we're blaming fabric over behavior now, are we? Well, please do excuse as the knife goes into your stomach. It's not my fault your clothes weren't thick enough. You're overreacting. You don't think I'm overreacting. You just think I should be more quiet. And this often happens when women stop prioritizing men's comfort.